Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our monthly community mental wellness live. Tonight, we will be discussing parenting and WTF moments. Tonight follows our discussion from last month with a group of youth where they shared some feedback for parents on children's mental health and things to consider as they grow and just experience life from their self, for their experiences. So tonight we're going to share some stories from the parenting perspective. So let's dive right in. Viewers, also be mindful to join in on discussion, share your feedback, comments, any questions you have. We would love to hear from you. You can also have the option to join us live on the video if you want to speak on the topic as well. I am Jacqueline Stevenson, the Executive Director of Counselors in the Community Association. And tonight, um, Amanda, you can take it away.
Good evening. My name is Amanda McIntyre. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I own and operate the Sanctuary Care and Counseling Center, and I have the pleasure of serving as a board member for Counselors in the Community Association.
Good evening. I am Yashica Smith. I am a licensed school counselor and a self-published author, and I'm also a board member for CITCA as well.
So we want to go ahead and just introduce our special guest. Introduce who you are, and then I want you to tell us a little bit about what kind of led you to join this conversation. Why do you think it's important? What do you want people to gain from it? Let's go ahead and start with Brandon, then we'll do Sabriya, and then Timesha.
I think you're on mute, Brandon.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Glasco. I am in university recruitment. I've been in educational recruitment for a little over 10 years. So not only have I been dealing with my own for a while, I've been dealing with teenagers in different capacities for almost the last about 10 years. I was fortunate enough to join the panel from last month, and it was really eye-opening from a ton of different standpoints. I actually, after the panel, got an opportunity to watch it with my son. So a lot of great dialogue, a lot of great understanding on both of our parts. I felt like it would be important to bring a male perspective to the table. Um, you know, I'm kind of the caveman of the group with all of our pretty CAU people and all that good stuff, but I did want to bring just a male perspective and um, touch on some of the things that as a father that I go through on a day-to-day basis with my son, and hopefully some of the perspectives that I can provide may be of some help to the other dads and even the moms.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hi, I'm Sabriya Mutize, licensed clinical mental health counselor and founder, owner, and operator of Grace Space Counseling. I joined this conversation because it is very important that we talk about parenting. We are not our parents, and we don't parent the way our parents parented us. And it's a journey that is ever changing, ever growing, just like our kids are. They start as babies, and we go through the anxiety of that, and then they become teenagers again, and then we think, I haven't done this either. So I'm here to just shed some light on some of those things, and I'm excited to be here to help lend another voice.
Hi, excuse me for driving. I apologize. I am on parent duty as well, trying to get one of these kids to football practice. But my name is Timesha Harris. I am also a self-published author of The Adventures of Fun Bobby. I am a part of this conversation because my son was actually on the panel last month, and I am also a CAU graduate. So Amanda reached out to me and asked me if my son TJ could join the conversation. I was really, really impressed with their perspectives and kind of how they thought about mental health from from a teen's perspective. And so I'm here as a parent of a teen from a panelist perspective to share my insights and views and how I've raised him, I guess, where he's been from. And then also too, I bring a completely different dynamic from the way that I was raised versus how he was raised. So I think that would shed a lot of light on different situations I come to the panel for as a single mother, raising 2 kids alone and really just overcoming tons of obstacles and adversity. So hoping that I can be influential and inspirational to somebody who's watching.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. I wanted to jump in before we get started on this topic because it can be very heavy. So I wanted to do a check-in on a scale from 1 to 5. Where is everyone mentally right now? And give me one rose in all of the chaos. Anybody can start first.
I'll jump in. I'm actually at a 5, so I'm waiting out a hurricane. So it's just kind of like you don't know what's gonna happen. You're just sitting here. But I'm making the most of it. Whatever's gonna be is gonna be. But I'm in a good place.
Good.
I'm at a 5. I'm doing pretty good mentally.
Good. You can go ahead, Brandon.
I would say I'm probably at a 4.75. I'm a little anxious. Event tomorrow at Mercedes-Benz. I think I got everything together, but but overall good. Me and the kid are in a good place, and so overall I'm awesome.
I'll say I'm at a 5 today. I had a really great day at work. My kids and I, we rate our days. We rated our days today to say whether or not we felt like we got an A, B, or C for today, and everybody got an A today. Everybody went to school and worked and killed it and did what they were supposed to do. And I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. So I'm at a 5.
I'm at a 4 today because today was a Monday, Tuesday for sure. But I am so happy to be home and happy to be live with all of you.
Aw. We're happy to have you.
Yes, thank you guys for being here. I guess I didn't even say what I am. I am a 3. It's just been a chaos week, but I'm good. I'm great. It's just I need to decompress from the day, but I'm good.
Yeah, look, we all have been there, right?
Right.
All right.
Yes. So I'll hand it back over to Amanda. You want to?
Sure. Let's go ahead. We did the check-in. Thank you for that, Yashica. Let's kind of do something kind of fun. We always try to engage the community and have a good time with our guests. So we're going to play a game of bingo, but there's going to be a little spin to this. So what we have is what we call WTF parenting bingo. And we want everybody to take a look. So of course you're going to get your free space. But any of those that you feel like you can relate to that gives you a bingo in any direction, a guest panel, you could just speak out. But I want the audience to participate too. So if you feel like you have a bingo, just go ahead and put it in the chat, and then Jackie will go ahead and allow you to join, or you could just kind of spell out in the chat how you have bingo. So go for it. We'll play this for about 45 seconds. Y'all almost made me curse on live.
Don't blame me.
All right. So once you guys say one, I'm going to start out. Okay. So let's go. Who will kick it off?
I had to go up to the school and advocate for my son last week. So that's definitely something I've done.
Okay. Is that what column is that in?
I'm driving now.
Let's see. That is in the second column. That's in the I column.
Okay.
The first, I think it's the first one. Yeah.
Yep. Said. Cool. Thank you. Teamwork make the dream work. All right. Please share that story.
So briefly, I'll try to do it within 30 seconds. There was a word that was used, homo, by Jaden, my 9-year-old. He's in the 4th grade, and the teacher thought that he meant homosexual, and he was asking somebody, "Were you a homo?" And we don't use that word in my house. So the only way we've used the word is homophobic. And so he was asking the boy, was he a homo, because he wanted to know if he was homophobic, because he didn't want to play with him if he was. And so he ended up getting written up for that. And that wasn't even the case. It was a misunderstanding, miscommunication, and I had to go and advocate for my child. So y'all not putting no paper trail on my baby for something that he didn't really do. But he still need to mind his business and quit yelling across the class. So we handled that part, but the conduct was that he used inappropriate language, and it wasn't the case.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Awesome.
Brandon?
Uh, I'm gonna go with experience the life transition that impacted my child.
Mm,
Okay.
that's good.
Experience.
Well, I mean,
She,
and you
Let me
say
see.
what?
I was telling her where it was.
You got it.
You good,
Tell us
Brandon?
about the
Okay.
experience, Brandon.
So, just started a new position. And for the last 4 years, since I've been the primary custodian, like we haven't really been away from each other. But now I'm on the road a lot, and he just has a lot of questions about it. Like he calls me constantly, asking me like, "Hey, Dad, where are you?" And the crazy thing about it is that you never know the attachment, and how your kids look forward to seeing you every single day. And nobody could have ever told me that while I was gone, he would be so worried about where I was, what
Mm,
I was doing, how I was feeling. His mom pretty much calls me every day now, like, "Hey, your son wants to know where you are. He wants to know how you're doing." And I have to make a concerted effort at this point to continuously keep him abreast of what I'm doing. And it gives me a warm fuzzy too. Again, like he's about 17. They try to play tough, like they don't want to show me emotions. Like I try to hug him, he pushes me off of him. But again, it just stepping into this space where I'm not there with him daily anymore. I think it has given both of us um, a different perspective on how we feel about each other, how much we love each other, and how much we kind of miss interacting with each other. So, just me being in a different space as far as work is concerned, has kind of given us uh, a different love for each other.
Okay.
awesome.
Nice. Sabria?
Bria.
I will say that we've made a ton of sacrifices for the betterment of our children. I didn't work for a long time so that I could be the person shuttling my son to and from therapy, like 4 times a week, and it has paid off.
And which one was that? Which bingo? I'm sorry.
It's
Y'all
on the
got
upper
to put this
side of the
The
down.
left
nose. It's the third
eye,
down in the eye.
I
Okay.
three.
Awesome. Thank you.
What about you, Jackie? You're a mom.
Right.
Interesting. I'm listening. Um, had to unlearn some things on behalf of my child's unique needs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I grew up thinking just like any other parent coming from, where you come from, that spanking is the way to do it. Gotta whoop them. Some men even feel like you have to, if without some type of physical, the child is not going to get in line. And I had to realize that it actually could make the child very aggressive, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I had to kind of unlearn that to deal with my youngest son because he has a lot of energy. He has a lot of, attitude, and he gets that honestly from both parents. So total chromosomes of it. But I had to unlearn that just the discipline part of parenting for me, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shika?
Oh, I guess I was about to say. I guess I'll chime in. For me, I guess I would choose what is it? B1. Felt like I wasn't enough. I've never wanted children, and I'm a single parent, and I'm in a city where I don't have any support. Um, and so sometimes I feel like I'm burning myself out trying to give my child everything that I feel like she deserves to have.
Mm,
Um, I've sacrificed a lot to make sure that she has a great life and that everything that she needs is aligned with whoever God needs her to be. And so I feel like I burn myself out to the point where I feel like I'm not doing enough. So I feel like I need to do more. But then I have to realize it's just me, and I can only do so much. And so I have those conversations with my daughter about, it's just me. I just have, have grace with me. And so
right.
just
Thank you all so much for
I
sharing your experiences and playing. I want to try to jump into the conversation because we don't have so much time.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Tonight's program was called, WTF. I'm a parent. Now what? I want you all to tell me about that moment that you found out you were going to be a parent. Tell us about that, and then tell us a little bit about do you feel like you parent differently than you were parented? Anybody can jump right in.
Yeah, we can start with Brandon, so we're gonna go on a little line.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't hear you, Brandon.
Alrighty. So look, when I found out I was going to be a parent for the first time, anxious, nervous, scared, um, but I was excited. You know, it wasn't planned, and I was still, I was only 22, and I really didn't know exactly, what fatherhood was going to look like. I know I was excited. I lost my dad at a really early age. I did have a person that stepped in as a father figure for me, throughout my teenage years. But early on, I didn't have that. So a part of me was really excited. The other part was really scared. I was the first person that had a kid, so it was all of my homeboys was there for me. I remember like most of my friends came to the hospital. So I had my friend group was really strong. But again, I was nervous. None of us really. Well, I know I didn't have a blueprint, so I just knew it was going to be a journey. But I was excited. Um, as far as how I parent, uh, I parent a lot. So I got a lot of old school because my grandmother raised me from a baby to about 12, and she was 70 years old. So a lot of no nonsense, a lot of do it the way that I say. Uh,
Mhm.
not a lot of not a lot of communication and conversation when it comes to decisions that need to be made. And I had to learn that you know you can't do kids like that now. They're a lot smarter than us. My uncle always uses the term "wise or weaker." I won't necessarily say weaker, but they definitely are wiser.
Mhm.
And so they want input. They want to have their voice heard when it comes to decisions that they're making in life. And I had to get used to that because again, me coming up, it was whatever my grandma said, and that just was that. So I won't be long winded, but that's just a couple things.
Thank you for sharing that.
I guess I'll go. I'll go now. How becoming a parent impacted my life. That feeling when I first found out, I was super super excited. I always wanted to be a mother. When I was little, my sister and my brother they laugh at me now because I said I wanted 5 kids when I was little. That's a joke.
Look, I did see.
Listen, so I was super excited, thinking, oh, okay, yeah, I'm getting ready to start. I graduated, and I was the first generation college graduate in my family. So I'm thinking, okay, I done graduated now. I can start my family and have my. And I had been in my relationship since I was in high school. So I'm thinking like I'm getting my whole little fairy tale, you know, uh, Cosby Show story of my own, right? And I was super excited, and reality hit it, set in that this ain't the Cosby Show and this ain't no fairy tale. But how I parent differently, similar to Brandon, my mother died at a really young age from a drug overdose, and I think that watching her do that, and my dad wasn't really involved in my life when I was when my mom was alive, and then he kicked in once she passed away, but he was still out of sight, out of mind, kind of just traveling for work and stuff. And so it was still just tumultuous, I think, at that point. And so I didn't feel like I had a connection, with my father like that. And then my mom being deceased. So for me, my friends and everybody tells me that I overlove my children because I definitely felt like that was something that I lacked growing up. And I don't know that over loving is a thing, but I guess it may be. And so I overcompensate in a lot of areas as well for the things that I didn't have. And I talked about this before, but I feel like I am very good at a lot of things.
Consider
I
as
write well, I sing well, I ran track, I did all of these different things, but I didn't have a parent to cultivate those talents that I had in me. And so, as you saw me driving some of you guys on the way here, because I see certain talents in my children that I will die, lay down and die to make sure that they are able to have those things cultivated in them so they can, so the best of them can be pulled out of them, as adults.
so we give so much as parents, right? What I want to know is what was a meltdown moment for you as a parent, because children somehow think that we are just super people where our feelings really don't matter, and even though they say it do, some of their behaviors just exhibit like you just don't get it. So what was your meltdown moment for you as a parent, Brandon?
Thank you. So fell down moment. Uh, I think I may have shared this, but kind of had a, I kind of broke down. I felt inadequate. My son had been participating in some activities that I didn't promote and that we don't promote in my household. Neither does. And the words that he spoke kind of got to me because while we were having the conversation and he was being scolded about that action, he said, "Hey, you you been knew I was doing this," and I was just like, "No, I didn't." You know what I mean? And it made me feel it made me feel like, bro, you're not in tune with your kid because
Mm.
your kid thinks. I mean, obviously he had been doing these things, thinking that maybe I was aware and I condoned, but I absolutely didn't. So I had a moment where I just had to go to my room and I had to release because I was like, wow, bro, what are you doing? And how
Mm.
did you know? So it kind of broke me down. It made me feel like you need to be a lot more hands on. Um, you need to be a lot more attentive to things that are going on. And I had a few inklings, like maybe, but I just pushed it off on something else. No, not my kid, right? But yeah, it kind of broke me down because I felt like I didn't know my son, and I don't know, if any of you guys have ever been through that, but that is a horrible feeling, not feeling like you know your kid. And so that moment hit, and we're moving past that, and but yeah, that was a moment that kind of took me out.
Thank you.
Brandon.
Really quick,
I
can everybody
oh,
hold on one second, Timesha. Can everybody make sure that their volume is down on their phones or devices? Because we're getting a lot of feedback, and I really want to hear what you all have to say.
So we have a question: how do you parent several kids across age groups? So for the parents who have multiple kids up here, let's share just a short little feedback to this question. Anyone? I'll know. I'll start it off, but um, parents and several kids across different age groups, it takes a lot of like research. Like for me, that's what helped me grow as a parent. I just would do a lot of reading online, seeing what articles out there about what other parents are doing as it relates to just whatever I was dealing with the different children. And that's where I came across just understanding that, the unique needs of each individual child, and once you understand that, it just parenting just becomes a little more easier, and you also can help them understand why things are different with the different parenting styles that you will have to do with the different kids. And of course they're going to think it's not fair or favoritism and all these things, but that's where that open communication comes in, and educating our children that you have to do these things because each one is a different individual with their own unique needs, their own way of thinking and viewing the world. So that's my feedback.
I also would say that there's developmental milestones for different age groups. So I know, like, Jaden is 9; he wants to do the same stuff that his 15-year-old brother can do, and that's absolutely not the case, and it's not going to happen. So making sure that they are aware wait your turn. It ain't nothing to rush for, but also with that age and the things, the privileges that the older one may get to do, there's also added responsibilities as well. So, you know, take your time, take your time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one more moment in our first segment is just share a moment where you noticed your child display the values or lessons or life knowledge you put into them, where you just had that moment like, okay, they getting it.
And don't
Well,
forget,
I'll go back to the meltdown moment, and then I'll talk about that part. I feel like the meltdown moment for me was just recently when you guys did the live, when TJ was on, and everybody was messaging me and telling me how they were so proud of me, and they thought that TJ was doing such a great job. He was so well spoken, and they were super proud of me, and they could see that I was doing such a great job with him. And for me, it was a meltdown moment because now I am a single mother and divorced, and their father is not really engaged and involved in their life. And so for me, it was more so like, how is it that, everybody else can see, that I'm doing such an amazing job with these kids, but their dad is dealing with whatever he's dealing with to the point that he doesn't check in or, engage and involve like he used to, before the divorce happened. And so I understand where he's coming from in terms of, kind of the hurt and the bitterness and resentment. However, that still doesn't negate, kind of how amazing and dope your children are. And that really, instead of me being really proud and having a proud moment, I literally was bawling and crying tears because I just was like, I really don't want them to grow up and not have a relationship with their father like I don't have a relationship with my father. And the things that I felt like I tried to avoid in parenting and for my children, based on some of the things that I experienced growing up, they ended up are dealing with some of the same exact things. And it was super, super hurtful to kind of open my eyes and realize that. But then in terms of, you want to say something?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And then in terms of the next question, in regards to when did I realize that they got it? When I talked to them even about that same specific topic, how did they feel about that? And, I told them I was going to share the live with their dad and make sure that he was able to see it. And, he's like, well, mom, I understand. They understand. People always look at when the negative of something that's happened and people's reaction to it. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this, that, and the third. And so I check in with them periodically and, and regularly. How did you feel? How did that make you feel? And the response was more so, I understand the hurt and the disconnect and kind of how we moved and now we're in Georgia and he's in California. And, I understand he's probably hurt. So it's probably hurtful for him to see us doing so well. And so his response is to withdraw as opposed to lean in where mom, I know you gonna lean in, he may not. And so the fact that I saw that TJ had a level of understanding of how I've taught him, look at a person's why they do a thing as opposed to the reaction and how it necessarily makes you feel. That's not always the top of mind thing, is how it made you feel. If you look at the why, you could probably give a person more grace and have more level of understanding.
Yeah. Thank you. So privileges, right? So this next area we want to focus on just parents and reflections, really, and just the pain, power, and privileges. So, what privilege have you provided that you didn't have for your children? We'll start with TJ and then work our way down.
TJ meaning me?
Uh, I'm sorry.
I'm TJ. I'm TJ. I'm his mom. I take it. Look, how are you doing? No, so I guess the privileges that I say I would that my children have. My children are first generation private school children in my entire family. Nobody has been to private school that I know of, on my mom or my dad's side of the family. And that's something that I pride myself on providing for them, just because of the academic prowess that they have. I'm a former educator, and so I have instilled in them the educational components that I know that my parents instilled in me, that how important that is. But again, and go back to the cultivating piece, the public school system did not cultivate how bright and articulate I really am. And so I am, to the white meat. whatever I got to do, them kids going to go to Woodward Academy and they going to be the best that they can be. They just got their grades yesterday. Tyler got, 4 A's and 3 B's, or the vice versa, and Jaden, same way, So they're proved, I'm putting them in rigorous academic situations, and they're rising to the occasion. And so I know that that's going to bode well for them as adults and when they want to go into their professional careers.
Nice. Brandon.
So my son also is in private school right now. It definitely is not Woodward Academy. But it's everybody ain't got that kind of bag. But so but so he's in a small Christian private school, and of course, where I'm from, nobody was in private school. Man, just some of the small things as it pertains to privileges. Again, I was raised by a 70-year-old woman, right? So even though she did her absolute best, I love Rose to the end, but she didn't understand how to dress me like the other kids, right? Like, she thought Walmart shoes were, and not saying that they're horrible, but
Right. Mm-hmm.
the ridicule that you get from other children for not having name brand shoes and not having name brand clothes, that kind of affected me. And then, also, I'm from Alabama, so I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the term shotgun house, right? So I was raised in a shotgun house. The shotgun house had 3 rooms: middle, front, middle, back, and that's it, right? And I didn't know how I was being raised. She kept the yard cut. We had flowers, but the house was what it was, right? And I remember walking home one day, and one of my friends was like, "Bro, you live in a shotgun?" I was like, "This is my house." Like, I ain't even know, I didn't even know what a shotgun was until. So I've tried my best to make sure that my son's living conditions, they aren't something that he would be embarrassed of. And sometimes we go too far, buying $500 shoes and all this stuff. But I feel like I've just tried my best to put him in a situation where he doesn't have to deal with a lot of the same ridicule I had to deal with when I was a little bit younger.
Nice. So while we got you right there, Brandon, this question is good. What about your parents, and would you have done differently or have learned to accept as a parent?
For sure, I would listen more. For sure, I would listen more. For sure, I would be a lot more flexible, and being open to his ideas and how he wants to move. Because I'm not gonna lie, I get kind of jealous. He tells his mom everything. Like, so she'll call me and we have to do the whole "don't tell him I told you" deal, right? But tells him everything. He's a lot more communicative with his mom than he is with me, because he always feels like, again, he feels like I'm gonna come from a place of judgment. And if I had to be perfectly honest, a lot of times I do. So he's like, he'll tell his mom a bunch of stuff that he would never come to me with. So I kind of have to kind of tiptoe around topics to see what I could get out of him. But I would definitely listen more, and just be more open, because I've been a little closed off, and I think it has affected our relationship a lot. But I'm trying to make that better.
And that's all we can do as parents is observe, realize, and just try to move a little different. Mish?
I think what I would have done differently. Well, I'm not even gonna say I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not gonna say that I would do things differently, because I feel like all of the experiences that I have experienced with them, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, they all have made it, made us to get us to the point where we are today. If I hadn't, experienced the life that I've experienced, I wouldn't have the mindset that I have in terms of how to be open and let them communicate with me the way that they do. And some of the stuff that they share with me, I don't be ready to hear that mess. I promise you. I'll be like, what in the world? And I call my friend group like, all right, y'all, this the bull crap that I got on my table today, on my plate today. How we finna rock with this? So, I'm a type of person that, because I've been through so much, I've got so much fortitude. This Delta woman got so much fortitude. I learned to take that the struggles and the strife and the pain that I deal with and make it into something positive. So I won't even say that I would do anything differently. I would say that I'm gonna take those same things and those same lessons and those hard times and make them lessons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one thing that you had mentioned previously during our, prep really was just the difference in the generations. How, our parents, they did it their way, and we see the progress that's made in the future as far as us. We're doing what we're doing, and we're changing our parenting and ever evolving. And look how it's turned out with our children. They're so
Yeah. So
intellectual,
I could
intelligent.
I can speak to that. So what I said during our prep was the fact that um, our grandparents, I feel like their main focus was on like getting land and wealth and getting out of the poverty mindset from being slaves and kind of not really having much. And they instilled that into our parents. And so our parents really kind of focused on the educational piece. So now the schools are integrated. We're able to go to school and actually get an education with, some of the best people that's getting giving out the best education. And so then our parents taught that to us. And so for me, I feel like I've got the land and the money piece and, going and getting an education so I can get a good job. Now, what my parents didn't focus on was my mental health. And that's something that I focus on with my children, is making sure that they're able to show up as their full authentic selves in our home. And that's very, very key and important for me, for them to be able to just be who they are authentically at home. If you can't, you got to go outside in this world and face microaggressions and different, excuse my language, bullshit, in the world, just from people, and being black men in America and me being a black woman in America. You should be able to come home and lay your burdens down. And so that wasn't something that I was able to afford the opportunity to do growing up. Whatever issues and struggles and strifes I had at home, it don't matter. Suck it up. You a kid. You ain't got no worries. You ain't got no cares and concerns. I, on the other hand, don't try to parent my children that way, and I allow them to express themselves. So I think, they're our children, the children that I'm raising, the generation that I'm raising, they're going to iterate it however they iterate it, right? So with mental health being the main primary focus of a lot of us doing this gentle parenting and trying to figure it out that way, our children are going to figure out how they parent their children in a different way as well, and we'll see what that looks like in our grandchildren.
Exactly. And another thing that our generation did a lot of advocating for was diversity, being able to just be who you are, right? And not have to live in shame or anything like that. So, another topic we're going to go into is how mental health has impacted your parenting, or how parenting, has impacted your mental health. So, Brandon, I didn't hear you, Amanda.
Sorry. Let's pause for a second before we jump right into mental health. We've heard parents speak a lot. Let's have Sabriya, our subject matter expert. I would love to kind of hear your thoughts, what you've kind of been hearing. I see your wheels turning over there. Any feedback to give to our two panel guests, or even people in the audience who are posing questions?
Absolutely. So the question that was posed earlier, I would say 2 words: flexibility and consistency when you're parenting children at different ages and stages. And the other thing I keep hearing, like a theme, parenting is this beautiful struggle. Like, you have it down packed initially, and then you're like, I got it. I've made the mistakes. I've grown from the mistakes. And then the kid grows up and they're at another developmental stage. And so you have to figure it all out again. And the other thing that I thought about is that when we're parents, sometimes we're also reparenting ourselves, because we are learning to do things differently than our parents did, but we also have to grow up, and that's okay. Give yourself grace to grow up when you're in that space. And I would say the fruit of that healing is when you look at your children and see what they're doing, and see how they're growing and see how they're interacting with other people. And then the last thing I was thinking about is what we say to our children becomes their inner voice. What we don't say to them becomes their actions. So we talked a lot about how we speak to our children. We want to validate them. We want them to be seen and heard, but they are watching us. even if we think they're not. And they see us when we're struggling. They see us when we're happy. They see us when we're using our coping skills. They see us when we're frustrated and we shut down. And so we have to be the models that we want them to be. Just like we are healing ourselves, we have to be cognizant of what we're doing and our actions, and be cognizant of our words if we want to raise productive adults in society, and differently than our parents raised us. That's the challenge.
Love
And
it.
another thing about parenting that we don't really think about, just from a parent's perspective, is just the multi-generational differences. That we are dealing with a different generation. The Gen Zs. So anybody want to research parenting Gen Zs? That's what a lot of the children under us are. We're that millennial generation, but just that factor as well can kind of help us just understand this parenting thing a lot better than just trying to just figure it out. So let's get into it. How has parenting impacted your mental health, Brandon?
A few different ways at different points, right? So it's always like a roller coaster. So a lot of times it can put me in a really good space, I try to stay pretty much consistent. But when they do well, you're on a high, and then when they have that disappointing moment, and they're doing things that you didn't teach them, or they're going against your parenting, then you're not having such a good day. So it's just kind of like an ebb and flow. um with my son, I know I have a lot more, at this point I have a lot more good days than bad. He's taught me to be a little stronger. So at that part of my mental health is I'm in a better place. He's taught me how to compartmentalize and kind of deal with him, and not let the things that are going on in the world or my job or my situation affect how I treat him. Also, overall, I would say good. He's made me a overall more mentally strong individual. He's also had me on my last leg though. Right? He's also had me down bad to where I just, Lord, what am I doing? So I just feel like it's an ebb and flow. But I think overall, he's been good for me. He's helped me grow, and be a better person. But like again, we have those days where I'm like, bro. But overall, he's been good for my mental health.
Okay. Misha.
I would say parenting has impacted my mental health um, in a way where it's made me more reflective. It's made me more self-aware, and it's made me more dig deeper and fight harder. I feel like I've already had a lot of struggles from a young age to kind of have to overcome. But my children are, um, they're cut from a different cloth, and they have differences. They're both two different individuals. But because they're so unique in and of themselves, I have to make sure that I'm seeing them um, as who they are, and they call me out because they're so intellectual, and because I've instilled that in them. They call me out on the things that I may say that may be contradictory to, my actions may be contradictory to what I say, and so we definitely do check-ins. We are in therapy. We've been in therapy, for a while, and just the way that this world works. I'm a very spiritual person as well, and in touch and in tune with that. And so, kind of looking at, the realities of what may happen in the everyday world, and then also to what, how that can affect how they view themselves. Um, I have to make sure that is top of mind. I've struggled with self-esteem, low self-esteem for a very long time, and so I want to I make sure that I'm asking those tough questions, and that they are able to articulate themselves in a way that makes them get in touch with those deep feelings that people typically like to don't like to address. So we do a lot of shadow work, we do a lot of self-reflection, we do a lot of introspection, just so that way they are always self-aware and able to take accountability for their actions. So some skills that I've learned in some of my therapy, I make sure that I present that and hold them accountable to doing some of those same skills as well.
Yeah, that's awesome because there's a high rate for suicide for young kids now, and the rate is increasing significantly for African American children. I just read a study on that. So I think that going deeper and having those conversations, pulling things out of them that, is different from the typical, oh, I'm fine. Oh, things are cool. Oh, things are good. Oh, this person did this. Or this person said that. Let's talk about you, how you're feeling. What are you thinking? And whatever wordplay you have to use as a parent just to pull things out of your child, just to get deeper, I think is important for just to open up that dialogue so that the kids know I can have this discussion with my parent, So Sabriya, you're a parent, you're a therapist. What has been helpful resources for you on your journey? Because people like to have stigmas where it's like, oh, because we are, psychology professionals or counselors, the therapists, psychologists, whatever, that we're just supposed to have it all together. Our kids don't have issues or we're in denial or whatever, ever. But, what has it been for you? Like, what resources have you used on your parenting journey?
So personally, Jesus, therapy, and my mentor mom. So mentor mom is always good. You want to have someone who doesn't necessarily parent the way you were parented, someone that you esteem to parents like, and you see how their children are growing up, and you just tap into that resource when you need the support. Also, mom friends help. And then professionally, I have a podcast for moms who are going through parenthood, and helping them to learn their anxieties and manage the anxieties and just deal with all the things, as well as taking care of ourselves. So you also want a resource that's going to remind you, even though you're a mom, that is not your identity.
And what's the name of your podcast?
Chill Out Mama.
Chill Out Mama.
Chill Out Mama podcast. But you need reminders to be yourself, so you don't get lost in parenthood, because your identity is not your children. You still have to be who you are so that you can take care of your children.
So Brandon and Timesha, right? What resources do you wish you had or had known about as you was, just on your journey?
So I do wish I had. We haven't started our counseling journey, so I do wish we had started that a lot earlier. And right now we're actively seeking. Nothing against the ladies, but I did kind of want to sit down with a black male counselor with us and just kind of see if there was some perspectives that he could give that might kind of move us forward, because we're starting late, right?
Love
So
it.
it's just being more proactive. And I won't necessarily say, I just think I wasn't proactive in looking for the resources, right? So, but as I've been on this counseling journey, I found tons of wonderful resources that we can kind of take advantage of. So I wouldn't say that I didn't necessarily know about or wish I had. It's just me being at the point of knowing that I need to be actively seeking these resources out, because
Brandon.
there has to be tons of things. I mean, I know there are tons of things out there, and a lot of times as black men, and I hate to paint with a broad brush, but I probably should have been in somebody counseling session a few years ago. So it's just,
Love.
so
Love.
it's just actively seeking out the resources that are there. But I would say that's probably it for me.
Timesha?
I would say the resources that I wish that I had more detailed conversations with moms about the nuances of parenting. I feel like I have a natural and innate ability to be a mother, and so some of those things came natural, but not being aware of how things can change, right? And so my own feelings about decisions that my children may make, that for me, when you have your children, you say, okay, well, I'm going to set them up for success and put them in these types of situations to make the best decisions, to make the best out of their life. But then they make a decision that, is completely different than what you anticipated. those things can and will happen, right? And so how do you pivot? How do you, shift the narrative to still be? So what I think, what I've learned is more so is as long as I continue to plant the seeds for them, I am doing the best that I can do, right? I can lead by example, show them the best way possible to do whatever it is that, is going to make their life most successful. But I think that ultimately they're going to make their own choices and their own decisions, and not to beat myself up, right? So the resource that I think that I would have is just to say, to give myself more grace in terms of when they are, because they are individuals and doing their own thing. It's not something that I wish I had. It's just something that I didn't know that I was going to need to utilize as often as I do, to give myself grace as a parent, to know that these people are having human experiences as well as you are. And, all you can do is, be a guide and a light, and it's up to them to kind of go right, left, or straight.
Absolutely. Amazing. All right. So one more question we have for you guys, right? And it is, what is one thing you want every child in the community to understand about parents or parenting, or just maybe new parents or current parents? What's one thing you would like to share?
I guess I would say that what I want every child in the community to know is that, like I just kind of stated, we're all having a human experience. Um, we are, like Sabriya stated, I am still me, and in order for me to be the best parent for you, I have to be the best me for me. And so, if that requires me taking some time for myself, give me grace. If that means that I need a quiet moment, give me grace. Just like I'm expected to give you grace as you grow and learn and develop, and you want me to have a level of understanding for where you are. Like there's a song that said, "Parents just don't understand." So you may not understand. You may think that I don't understand where you're coming from, but you need to try to understand where I'm coming from as well. And we're all learning together. So let's do this and make this lived experience the most positive experience we can make it for the both of us.
Absolutely. Love it.
I would probably say, for the parents. So if you ever heard of, if anybody's ever heard me talk about my dad, they know that I'm really talking about my uncle. So those people that know me, he came and got me from Bessemer, Alabama when I was 12 years old. He brought me here to Atlanta. Um, he did his absolute best with me. I stole his car. I did all kind of foolishness. And I remember, he just told me he wasn't going to give up on me, right? So he kind of reared me, and it wasn't until I think I was in my mid 20s. I was almost 25, and this is for the parents. When he said, "Brandon," when I was going through some stuff with the kid and trying to figure my, trying to work my way through parenting for the first time, he he told me, he shared with me, he said, "Brandon, I couldn't have kids." He had never told me that, right? So when he did, I said, "Well, and he always brings that to me. He always makes me put that in perspective. Whenever I'm having a hard time with my son, he's like, 'Bro, I love you and you're my son, but I couldn't have one.'" And sometimes I know we get overwhelmed with our kids, and you know, whether it's, them always begging for some money, or them, whatever the case may be. But one thing I never ever forget is how blessed I am to 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 have been able to have children,
Mm,
because
yeah.
every can't make I mean everybody can't. So just keep that in mind, even when you're having hard times, that at the end of the day, all of our kids are blessings.
You were the chosen one. So, hey, enjoy this life that was meant for you, right? Sabria.
Yes, I would say normalize trauma informed parenting so that we can parent our children in a way that is from a place of being healthy, whole, and healed, and not from a place of being hurt, abandoned, and frustrated.
I love that.
Shika, you want to share some 1-2 on one final word to parents or, just children about parenting?
Um, I would say I just typed this whole thing in the comments, but I just want to tell parents, like Timesha said, to give yourself grace because we are simply the vessels. Our kids are not ours; they don't belong to us; they belong to God. And our job is to cultivate them as children to be the adults that they need to be in this world, universe, whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, our feelings might get hurt and our egos might get hurt, but we have to sometimes learn how to detach our emotions from the building and molding of human beings because it's not going to be what we expect it to be all the time.
Love it. This has been amazing. We want to thank everybody, the entire panel, for just being
Mm-hmm.
able to speak to their stories and share their insight on parenting. Parenting is not easy. There's no book for it. We don't have no manuals, all right? But we do have resources. There are resources out here to help us. Like it's not like how it was at our parents' time where they had to go to facilities to access resources. Now we have it just doing a Google search. You know what I mean? Thanks to this new technology, algorithm, and everything nice, we now have access to so many resources, and there are so many great organizations and companies and places out here really providing support. Whether we believe in it or not, why not take a chance, right? Why not take a chance on something different and do things different? It's just um, a pleasure to be able to just have these dialogues and share this information with the community because not everybody has these resources or people like this panel to speak up and just share their stories. We're always so closed in our community where we don't really share much unless, well, besides our hardships and,
Yeah.
how financially things are crazy or something. But this parenting thing is so much judgment in it as
Mhm.
if there's really a perfect way, and there isn't. So we want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you all for just viewing and watching.
Mhm.
Remember, have these lives every single month, every last Tuesday of the month. Join us here for a wellness topic. The topics change because the community is just so full of so much going on, and mental health plays a huge impact in all of it. So if
Yeah.
we can share information and resources, we here and we got you. Inside the comments, there's plenty of resources, and we will also be uploading a resource document to our page. We've done it for every single live. If you want to go back and view them, please do. They will be readily accessible and available. To be a guest or share topic feedback, we would love to hear from the community. So please share your feedback. Email us at sitkalive@sitcaco.com. Feedback in the topic, live topic in the subject, I'm sorry, or panel guest in the subject. We would love to have you a part of it. Any last words? Anybody? Panel?
Thank you guys for letting me be a part of this panel. I don't, I've learned so much, and I really appreciate the different perspectives, and I feel like I can just be a little bit better parent after the night. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll always take part every last Tuesday of the month.
Yay! We appreciate you.
I mean, no, as a not on the panel though.
I know what you
Don't get excited. Look.
said. I know what you
I
meant.
would. I'll say thank you as well. I apologize that it's dark now and I'm sitting in my car and my light is on, but I'm sorry y'all can't see me. But I appreciate Amanda you reaching out to TJ and asking him to be a part and making sure that mental health is always top of mind for not only the children but for our parents as well. It's been very therapeutic for me and our entire household for TJ to be a part of the this platform as well as for me. And so I'm really grateful for the work that you ladies are doing. I'm loving seeing all of this melanin, leading these types of conversations. And so I appreciate you guys and just wish you guys the best. And I will also make sure that I am attending at the last Tuesdays of the month.
Yay! Thank you. All right. So it's been a pleasure. Want to thank everyone. And again, if you want to be a part, just email us and we will add you to our community listing. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night. See you
All right,
next
bro.
month.
Good night.
Bye.